So that positioning, that careful movement becomes all the more important. Maiden unfortunately can't heed the word. They go down. Look at that instant corner drop. Pitch perfect accuracy from the brim. Jake goes down, Monkey as well.
Nobody beats up Ganondorf quite like Ganondorf. It really does seem that this character has all of the answers to all of his own weaknesses. The great F-tilt there off of the set. Hello, going off stage for the Warlock Punch? Are you kidding me?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to week number 5 of the WSSEA 2025 spring season, powered by LandFest. We've got an exciting series here for you, but before we get into all that, I got to introduce the legend to my digital right. Tugboat, how we feeling, brother?
Feeling great. It was a little bit late on the background right there. Had to transition on over. We're all matched now. We're all looking good in the bright green here on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, April Fool's Day. But, you know, we weren't fooling about the great series. We got Central Kitsap taking on Lake Stevens Purple. Both of these teams are undefeated this season. Both have a forfeit win here or there, but nonetheless undefeated. Lake Stevens also toppling last year's champions as well. Looking like a very strong team to beat.
Yes, we have definitely tiled up some of the best Rocket League the WSSEA has to offer here on the day. As you mentioned, 2 3-0 teams. One of them, Hot Sauce, will be leaving with a loss here on the day.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of them is going to have to suffer that loss, but both of these teams have been around in the business for a while. Lake Stevens was established around 2021. They've been to the state level for several years now, and I think it was their coach or Mr. Wood who explained that they've always kind of fallen a little bit short on Rocket League, but they've got a really strong team this year. We mentioned they were able to take it all the way to a best of 5 and beat Kennedy Catholic, last year's champion. So they're looking to hoist that trophy here at the end of the season.
Absolutely. I am looking for the other. Oh man, I'm looking desperately for the other cell here. Could you give me the breakdown on the other team, please? While I'm desperately looking for this,
yeah,
I'm unprepared.
No
I'm unprepared here on April Fool's Day.
They've been around for a while as well. Established back in 2022. They've made state every year for Super Smash and Rocket League as well, taking 3rd place back in 2023. So they do have a grand champ on their team this year that's going to be, I believe, Rogue Average. So certainly a player to look out for once we get out on the pitch today.
Yes, absolutely. All 6 of these players are going to be desperately fighting to just maintain that, right? Like 3-0 doesn't happen by mistake. Yes, there's forfeits. A win is a win is a win. That's what I always say right here. And there's a lot for both of these teams to go forth and fight for to maintain that perfect 4-0. Week 5 coming in here, and how cool is that? We got little previous week breakdowns, little highlights, right, before the show. I absolutely love that, Hot Sauce.
Yeah, I love all the action we got going on over here. Before we get into today's game, though, we do want to take a moment to give a huge shout-out to Zotac Gaming for powering today's stream. And thanks to their incredible support, we're able to bring this broadcast to all of you, helping to showcase the amazing young talent here in Scholastic Esports. So let's make sure we show our appreciation to Zotac Gaming, giving them a shout-out on social media. And you can use hashtag powered by Zotac or hashtag ZotecUSA when you post, and let us know who you think is going to win today's game.
Absolutely. We'll also, I mean, this is just so monumental for both of these teams' records across the middle of the season right here. Both of them, I mean, it is darn near impossible, we'll say, to go undefeated across a regular season. Well, Hot Sauce, that's what both of these teams are staring down the barrel right now. And it's kind of like, you know, it's like a little bit bad for both of these teams, like futures or whatever, right? For them to go into that postseason, because both of them would love to maintain a perfect, I think it's 10-0 record as they're coming into that. But as it is, one of them again, 2 teams will enter, one of them will leave with that perfect record right here. Very, very exciting. Now, we talked a little bit about how both of these teams have been taking down their series in like pretty definitive, like 3-0s, even 3-1s sometimes. But when 2 Titans clash like this, I think it is a fool's errand to expect a 3-0 sweep either way. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case here. Probably a very competitive season or series here as well. And I know Lake Stevens, their coach, Mr. Wood, is very dedicated to the craft as well. They often do their own stream on Twitch as well. And so it's always great to see the coaches getting involved and caring about what's going on. So I'm really excited for this matchup here between two juggernauts.
Two absolute juggernauts. We'll see how this continues on. Speaking of LANFest and all the other fantastic stuff that they've been doing recently, I got to go out to LAUSD recently. It was an absolutely fantastic time. I want to give a big shout out to the Beehive down there, Sola Beehive. There's also one in New York, folks. If you're going to go tweet about them, don't tag the one in New York. How about that? How about that? I learned that the hard way, the hot sauce.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us sometimes, but I'm sure they appreciate you making that attempt there. So. But, yeah, here we talked about a best of 5 here today. I often look for game number 2 to really kind of tell me how that series is going to play out. Sometimes you have those first game jitters, but obviously both of these teams wanting to come out here, find a way to win game number 1 and start this series off on the right foot. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we got two juggernauts going head-to-head, so I wouldn't be surprised if we go all the way to a game number 5 and maybe even see an overtime here or there.
Oh, absolutely, right? We're expecting a relatively close series overall, right? And like series score 3-2, possibly, if we're that lucky, 3-1 at least, and not the 3-0 at the absolute, or at the most here, like the general expectation, right? Part of that hot sauce is, of course, like single score games, or possibly, like as you mentioned, even going into overtime, which we absolutely love.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like we've got the players loaded onto the pitch here. There's that rogue average we talked about, one of those GCs to look out for, but already getting into the action here. Lake Stevens, top left of your screen in the purple there as well. Central Kitsap on the other side. And with that, 5 minutes on the clock, the scores are at 0, and we're going to have a lot of fun here.
There's rogue average. This is just kind of putting a little bit of pressure against this Central Kitsap squad. Now we're going to be looking on the other side. Lake Stevens trying to go forth and get something up, but this has actually just been vertical play so far, and that's really reigning the day as Central Kitsap tries to get something going that stops it down low.
Now we see Lennon Mantis on the back pedal here, trying to find a way to pressure forward. Unfortunately, Lake Stevens right now keeping the drive alive. Now the clear does come in. Unfortunately, not able to connect with that touch. Rogue back here in the background, looking to find a bit of a clear. Unfortunately, the car gets away from the ball here. There was an opportunity, but it was knocked to the wayside here. Still all tied up 0-0 with 1 minute off the clock.
It's always going to be about stringing these possessions. There you go into scoring opportunities. Central Kitsap, after conducting this ball, I mean, it really was a long orchestra, right? They didn't have this time of possession for super long. It was just kind of sustained right there. And eventually, shake this tree, and you will see what falls out. It's a single score here for Central Kitsap. Right side in the purple, 1-0 with a minute in.
Yeah, I think those team names are swapped around. I wrote down on my notepad here the rosters before we got going.
You're right.
And Agro Fusion is on the Lake Stevens side. So I do apologize for the little bit of mishap there. We will get that corrected for you in just a moment. But it is Lake Stevens who has this early lead here, up by 1. It'll be up to Central Kitsap to find a way to power back through. And with that, we see a nice pinch from Agro Fusion that almost finds its way into the back of the net. But Central Kitsap will find the stop. They still need to find that clear, though.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. This is kind of the issue that faced the yellow team previously into this one. Name's now corrected, correct? Right? Lake Stevens on the on the right here? Yep,
yes.
Okay. Just making sure, guys. Lennon Mantis, number 85, trying to get back, cut the rotation early right there, excuse me. Cut the rotation early right there is this Agro Fusion trying to do everything themselves. A fantastic effort there on the back side and the defensive side for Central Kitsap.
Yeah, Central Kitsap trying to find something in transition, and they have this second man rotation, able to keep the drive alive for a bit longer, but nobody pressing into the corner. And with that, Lake Stevens will find a bit of a half clear that goes back the other direction. It was a good pass toward the center here, but unfortunately, CK not able to connect on that one. A bit of back and forth in this first game as we get ready to crest that halfway point.
Whoa! Agro Fusion said, hey, Hot Sauce was winding it down. He's ready to throw it on over to Tugboat. Nope, I want you to keep on talking. Agro Fusion, fantastically done right there. That is off the back of a couple thousand hours of playing Rocket League, probably.
Yeah. I mean, they make it look easy. I can assure you it is not that easy. And Lake Stevens We'll have a nice 2-0 lead. They talked about the coach had kind of let us know Rocket League was something that they've always kind of fallen a little bit short in, but after beating last year's champions, looking to remain undefeated on this season and hoist a trophy at the end of it. Already off to a great start here in game number 1.
Doesn't get much better than that. I mean, we expected a close series. Even after 3 minutes, I'd still say that's exactly where we are at, and Central Kitsap has had a few opportunities, double commit right here, but it turns into a possession for Lake Stevens for a couple of seconds, so Rogue Average has got something to say about it. One player back, Lake Stevens dedicating 2 into the offense. I love this, not changing the game plan even though you're up by 2. They call it the insurance goal. I call it the most dangerous lead in Rocket League.
It can be very dangerous, but this play style has been working for Lake Stevens so far, so really no need to pump the brakes just yet. Booming clear the other direction, but they have a defender able to find that stop. Central Kitsap, again, has had a couple opportunities, but it's really been Lake Stevens kind of controlling the majority of the possession and field domination as they put one up above the crossbar there, and now it'll be Central Kitsap once more looking for that clear.
Down to the bottom there, Rogue Average. I feel like we've tuned into this player a couple of different times, and a lot of their roles they may seem mundane, but what they're doing is so crucial right there, right? Just maintaining possession there while your teammates are getting into position to play defensively because there's just not really a solution in the offensive side, right? If you're going to give over possession, at least have it done on your own terms. Nice shot, still a block there from Wild Viking, though.
Yeah, Lake Stevens really playing very well on both sides of the ball right now, and now looking for another opportunity here as well. Aggro through the sky, not able to find the touch they wanted, but has a teammate for a little bit of help to keep this one tucked into the Central Kitsap side, but not for long. It's CKHS on a bit of a breakaway play that gets stopped immediately here by Aggro Fusion, and right back the other direction we go.
Yeah, Aggro Fusion only had one player left. Wild Viking thought that they had the same thing, and an unfortunate whiff right there. This is the best opportunity. Oh man, was the best opportunity that Central Kitsap had, but they could not decide between the 2 players who was going to bring it out. Brutal looks here late, and what has been a very high competitive and high flying map number 1. Now, only 5 seconds left. There is not enough chronological resource, enough time of sand in the hourglass to bring this one back from the brink. Lake Stevens with a shutout here, game 1.
Yeah, great job of not only taking the win, but you nailed it, a shutout as well. So really putting a statement here on game number 1. But game 1 jitters can be a thing. We didn't really get to see Rogue Average kind of get going into that stride, into that game style that they're used to. That's that grand champ that we're kind of looking out for here on the side of Central Kitsap today. So, they're down a game right now, but we talked about it. It's a best of 5. There's plenty of opportunities to work back in this. It just starts one goal and one game at a time.
This is true. Here's the second fact, though. In a best-of-5 series, that's got to start to happen here, right? You give this one up, you do not want to put yourself in a situation where the full reverse sweep is necessary for you to come out with a W, Hot Sauce. The good news is there's not that same early pressure that we saw from Lake Stevens earlier, and Central Kitsap now with possession until it's just given right over. Not 100% sure what happened there.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of a mishap on that ball as it does get stalled around here momentarily. But Lennon Mantis looking to find a way to pressure toward the back of the net. Has a little help here from Aggro Fusion as well. Central Kitsap will step up, find the stop, and does a good job of putting card to a ball. They can't allow Lake Stevens to have too much retail to work with here.
Barzal here for the side of Central Kitsap. Quick rotation back here. Tries to get out, nicely done. A cut over to the right side and make this a dead ball, at least for a couple of seconds. Double coming onto it, and it was necessary. Hot Sauce walking the dog all the way in as Aggro Fusion does it one more time.
Well, it looks like they're hungry for this dub here. Aggro Fusion has been a big difference maker here for Lake Stevens thus far, but they've had some really good team synergy downfield, putting passes across in front of that net and just capitalizing on the opportunities in front of them. It's tough to play a team like Lake Stevens because you can't allow yourself to make any minor mistakes. They're going to capitalize on it almost every time.
What they say, the big difference here between good teams, great teams. Good teams play their game, great teams capitalize upon mistakes. It's exactly what we're seeing so far from Lake Stevens, and exactly what Aggro Fusion does yet again. The second they let this player, they let Aggro Fusion, get up to the skies with possession. Like, he gets past the one with a great 50-50 win, and the second one's just kind of left looking down low, not on the wall, able to take some kind of rebound action there. It was just, cards were on the table at that point. Lake Stevens had it all.
CK trying to make something happen here. Unfortunately, that pass is a dangerous one at midfield there in front of the net. Lake Stevens had a nice opportunity, but Central able to find that stop this time here. Not a ton of boost in the tank for those players in the background, though, and boost management, an equally important aspect here of the game of Rocket League.
Fair. Very, very fair. Outside of time, argue, many people would, that it's only the one real true resource. So you can make an argument with the number of players you have on the field, given that there are demos and whatnot. For every demo, there is frequently a player put out of position as well. Fantastic pass, but it's read out perfectly from Central Kitsap. They know the author, and they know what is coming next.
Yeah, that was a great flip reset from Agro, really trying to set up his team there, but Central Kitsap read that play well and was able to find the stop. They're looking for the flick, can't get over the head of Wild Viking here, and that one will be knocked around high and dry at midfield as Agro Fusion scoops it up through the sky. Looking to make things happen, but Central Kitsap doing a good job of getting up early and finding a way to challenge.
There's another solid attempt there from Central Kitsap. Rogue average, uncharacteristic whiff onto that one, but still going to be able to be picked up. That's a solid bit of boost in the pocket. Maybe try to get this back out to Parzival after. Nah, Agro Fusion is just going to take this from the corner and take to the skies, absolutely flinging it across. It's off the top, still one back here for Central Kitsap, and that's centered. A little more of a centering effort there from Agro Fusion. You might have had a serious shot at the net.
See that ball now floating toward the net. A little bit of a double commit there for Lake Stevens, but both players just hungry for more goals here as they've got that 2-0 lead. That's where the scoreline ended in game number 1, but Lake Stevens has time to find some more, and for Central Kitsap, still time to work back into this one as well, but they need to find this next goal before they allow Lake Stevens to go up to 3, and it's already Lake Stevens who's knocking at the net, but a big booming clear the other direction. It's an opportunity, and Rogue Average from downtown will find the first one for Central Kitsap.
There you go. One shot, a couple of shot attempts, and some saves to boot. Central Kitsap, after about 8.5 minutes of Rocket League there, Hot Sauce finally gets on the board. Love that. This is a competitive match, and I did not want it to end 0-2 again, because it doesn't seem like that, right? But really, if you study the 10 minutes Rocket League we have so far, almost 10 minutes Rocket League so far that we have, you can tell. I mean, the numbers on the previous, we didn't really address that either. Same amount of shot attempts, same amount of saves. Obviously, the big difference coming, obviously, in goals, and then one of those goals being assisted.
Well, looking to turn the tides here in game number 2. Central Kitsap still fighting from behind. They have time to work with as Rogue looks to take things in their own hands, but can't find the touch they need. Blocked here by Lake Stevens, and now a counterattack of their own as the ball gets tucked into the corner here of CK. And with that, once more an opportunity for Lake Stevens. Looking to play the pass to themselves here. Agro maybe baiting out a fake, but unfortunately it goes the other direction. And again, a wide open goal, a slow roller. Not enough mustard on that one, and Lake Stevens will dodge a bullet.
I'm more of a hot dog with ketchup guy myself, let's be clear, Hot Sauce. But regardless, still didn't have enough of whatever condiment you like for that to have got inside. That would have been both just so good. Oh no, what a takeaway. And then a third there for Lake Stevens. The script just got completely flipped, right? Central Kitsap looks like they even have like this dual-headed dragon ready to get in the offense, and it's just an easy, clean takeaway there from Wild Viking. Brutal.
Yeah, that's a tough spot if you're playing that close to your teammate. You do want to give them a little bit of space to work with and give yourself a little time to react if the other team is able to make a play on that ball. So just a little bit of a minor mistake that Lake Stevens once again was able to capitalize. But again, you feel like this 2-point cushion this late in the game should lead to that victory here for Lake Stevens. And if it wasn't that there will be that final nail in the coffin.
Agro Fusion. Throw your caps in the ice. That's the hat trick, folks. 3 of them going on from one single player. Now, we had 2 total goals in the first game, 5 so far. Don't be surprised if either of these teams, Lake Stevens possibly, because you're going to see Central Kitsap just try as hard as they can. Well, why leave a player back when you're down by 3? There's a shot attempt. Agro Fusion takes this away again. That is probably going to be the last real shot attempted in this game. It will be the last shot attempt that is going to ultimately matter. So, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, loss of 3, loss of 2. Loss of 4, doesn't really matter here. But they're playing the whistle, which is always good. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound like a negative thing.
Nah, I don't think we took it that way. I think, Lake Stevens just out here finalizing game number 2. They've got a nice 2-0 lead in the series here as well. So for Central Kitsap, their backs are going to be against the wall here. Looking at that first loss potentially in that notch column there. So need to really try to buckle down and see if they can bring this one back starting here in game number 3.
And this is where the numerical difference comes in, Hot Sauce. My goodness, this is AgroFusion's world, and we're just temporarily renting space in it. 10 total shots attempted, 4 for the side of Lake Stevens, and 1 player held without any shots whatsoever. Also double amount, right? 6 total saves there for the side of Lake Stevens, only 3 for Central Kitsap. What that tells me, of course, is that one of these teams had possession the vast majority of this game, would you be able to tell from those numbers if I didn't sit here and watch the entire 5-minute Rocket League game? I could have been able to tell you that way. So.
Here we go right back into it. Game 3. The nice thing for Central Kitsap is the scores do get set back to 0 here. Everybody on that even playing ground, but they got to be careful of AgroFusion, who's been a menace on the ground through the sky. It doesn't matter. Tag team back again. Whoop, there it is. Lion Manus with the first one.
Fantastic stuff. This initial shot comes over from AgroFusion. That's probably getting let in. I always like to secure this regardless. It's just a little bit extra added disrespect to put it off the nose of the Central Kitsap defender. 1-0 lead early here from Lake Stevens High School as we face match point against Central Kitsap. I'm going to feel like a fool. I'm going to feel like an absolute fool if I said no 3-0s either way, and that's exactly what we see with 2 shutouts. Or with 1 shutout and then whatever happens in this game, right?
Yeah, I mean, that last one was close to a shutout. Only 1 goal for Central Kitsap, and already this slow roller the other direction. It's one of those unfortunate things that does happen from time to time in a game like Rocket League, but nobody in the background here for Central Kitsap. And for Lake Stevens, that'll be 2 now for them, and 2 for Lion Mantis as they look to get a hat trick here on the day.
Yeah, and with that, with 2/3 of that, 66.6%. into it already, 45 seconds or so in. Well, it might be a little bit of easier feed here for Linden Mantis, especially the way that their teammates have been feeding them. AgroFusion goes for the flip and a pass. It gets hit to the bottom, and Wild Viking comes out on top. What is going on? Where is this Lake Stevens squad? This isn't... I mean, Central Kitsap's playing solid defense. Okay, that's what it is. You have 2 players both flipping for a ball and missing right there, so you only have 1 defender back. Even so, that was a fantastic, nose under, kind of musty a little bit, right? And then you go forth with this and just end up getting it to a teammate. Crazy stuff.
And we see AgroFusion says, I don't only do it on the offense, I do it on the defense as well. A beautiful save there once more. And we will see Central Kitsap able to pick that one up, and only for a moment here. Viking stepping up to pick the pocket, looking to drop it into the back of the net. The flick over the top, but Central Kitsap able to tuck it into the corner and continue on that clear here. Now making a good counterattack, but Lake Stevens, the rotations have been on point thus far, and they're able to find that stop once more.
About as good as it gets. 3.5 minutes, though. That's the good news for Central Kitsap. They got plenty of time to bring this one back from the brink, and they've already scored against this team once. Yes, it was more of a random angle, open net kind of situation, but A, it can happen, and B, the way they've been putting shot to net, at least challenging the defense of Lake Stevens, not against it. Here comes the second tap with nobody back, 1 player back here for Central Kitsap. It's put to the outside, and AgroFusion does it again. 1 goal, 2 shots, and 3 assists. It's easy as 1-2-3.
Yeah, another amazing goal here by Lake Stevens. They continue to put them on in bunches, and it's just been a bit of a tough time here for Central Kitsap as throughout these 3 games so far, they've only been able to put 1 on the board. They've got to find a way to get in that background, and sometimes maybe some bumps or demos are a great way to start that off.
Over to the left side. Here comes AgroFusion. We've watched what this player can do on the day so far. Weird rebound and weirder clear. That's even better on the second attempt here. Central Kitsap trying to get in the offensive stance. That's gone way over the other side, but Rogue Average is used to picking up balls. They're flung wildly over the sides already. And then we're playing tennis, it seems, from one back wall to the other here.
Yeah, that back and forth play only benefits Lake Stevens at this point. Just doing a great job of eating time up off the clock, looking to solidify that win here. And we still see him dancing around in front of the net. Central Kitsap in dangerous territory. The demo, the play after the play, so to speak, looking to open it up. And Central Kitsap the other direction. And CKHS finding that first one here for Central Kitsap.
Let me know if you're joining me here. I really hope, and this is the beginning of the floodgates here, and we're watching the beginning of a little bit more Rocket League. 3 scores, 2 minutes, more than 2 minutes, completely doable, Hot Sauce. Let's see more, a little bit of that.
Yeah, hopefully that can be that single spark to ignite that spectral fire here for Central Kitsap. But Lake Stevens, they've done a good job of finding goals in bunches, and they'll probably be looking for a quick response here. Looked like Agro was dribbling for that pass play to the teammate, but not able to pick up on that one. And back the other direction, Central Kitsap beginning to quicken the pace here a bit.
Mustard, hot dog, chili, onions, however you put it, that would have been a tasty one. Up close and personal. Oh, man. Ball is just left to lie a little bit too long right in front as Agro Fusion gets it across too. Brutal stuff. And that's like, oh man, if that Central Kitsap player had been there a quarter of a second later, right, it would have been right off the top and a fantastic clear.
Yeah, more amazing plays here by Lake Stevens as they continue to have a bit of a field day. But speaking of amazing things, I want to give a huge shout out to LandFest for building healthy communities throughout gaming with over 20 different chapters across the U.S. here. Over 150 different events as well. So be sure to head on over to landfest.com and check out those Washington chapters in Fernaland and Emerald City LandFest.
Absolutely love them. Like I said, pre-show, got to involve myself in one of them earlier in LAUSD earlier this week. It was a fantastic time. Back to the game here. Right off the crossbar right there, just a little bit lower, and we looked at our 6th goal, which is just insane to say out loud against a squad like Central Kitsap. Fantastic job! Oh, Parsifal did exactly what they should have too. Waited in the wings for a little while. Unfortunately, the defense still there. A bouncing ball leads to the 6th. Wild Viking on a tear. 4th shot, 2 goals.
Yeah, Lake Stevens continuing to do Lake Stevens things, and we see CKHS, trying to get back in time, but had ran out of boost in the tank. And with that, Lake Stevens, that 5-point lead with only a minute left, it's not impossible, but probably a little bit improbable.
It's unlikely, we'll say that. Within the realm of possibility, especially the way the Lake Stevens offense. Okay, that just got a lot more likely, Hot Sauce.
Hey, they say, one player's caster curse is another player's caster blessing. And CKHS maybe looking to cash that check in here a little bit. So we've got our fingers crossed. We'd love to get into some more Rocket League. I'm never going to complain about extra games, but Lake Stevens wanting to break out the brooms here. And again, only one of these teams is going to remain undefeated after today.
This is true. This is true. Another solid attempt. There's a follow-up. Okay, this just got a lot more possible. You were talking about 5 in a little bit more than a minute. How about 3 in 45?
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show that it is possible. And now with 44 left on the clock, they only need 3 more. But it's still a tough task to consistently put in that many goals, especially against a talented Lake Stevens squad here. So again, I'm not being biased or playing favorites. I'm just rooting for Central in this specific Game 5 or Game 3, so that we can maybe get to a Game 5. And as I'm yapping here, Rogue Average puts another one in.
Puts another one. This is absolutely fantastic. Lake Stevens, I'm not sure what's happening. They keep leaving only one player back, and Central Kitsap is just straight up dunking. This turned from like 5 scores in like an average of 14 seconds per or something like that crazy, which is seemed basically impossible. Not impossible, but very, very improbable, to just 2 in 33. That's fantastic. Now, Central Kitsap, to keep the dream alive right here, they've got to get in the offensive stance and maintain this possession. They're playing exactly where they need to now. Back, Rogue Average. Hits one, gets it past. That's too high, so that won't be a goal, but they got to get this. With even 1 second left, you can leave hope alive, but with only 9 seconds left and 2 scores, doesn't seem like it's going to be enough.
Yeah, it's just almost one of those things that was maybe just a too little, too late type of deal. But honestly, again, the score line here doesn't really do it justice. I mean, games 1 and 3 were very, very close, but you wonder if Central Kitsap, it felt like they were finally finding something that was working for them. So you wonder if maybe they had played, as they played in Game 3 throughout the whole series, if it might have been a little bit different. But that's how it goes sometimes. And for Lake Stevens, they're going to remain undefeated. They were so close, recently, and now looking again to hoist that trophy here at the end of the season.
Yeah, the tale of this competition, this matchup here between Central Kitsap and Lake Stevens, is a team that unfortunately just showed us a little bit too late exactly what they can possibly do. You said I don't know what would happen. I'll go one step further. If we'd watched Central Kitsap play the last minute, what was that? Minute 17, minute 30. then this would be a completely different series. I'm saying like 3-1 the other side or something like that. Like everything else held constant. That was such clinical Rocket League. It was taking advantage of mistakes. It was respecting rotations. It was being physical when you needed to be, and for the love of God, not being physical and not chasing for demos. That was fantastic. That was picture perfect Rocket League. And I hate to sound like I'm being like too negative or whatever else like that, because at the end of the day, I feel like that tells us that the problem there may have been a little bit between the ears, right? If you showed us that you can do all of that, and then it's not until the last 90 seconds or so that you really uncork that, I have to wonder and guesstimate that it's probably something like that, Hot Sauce. Again, not trying to be too negative, sorry.
Yeah, and I think that's just why they say any given Sunday, right? When you have two very talented teams, you really don't know how it's going to play out. So the nice thing, though, is Central Kitsap still has a phenomenal record. So you very well could see these two teams, going head-to-head again in that postseason. So you still have a little time left in this season to kind of hone and craft and fine-tune those skills. Go back, check some VOD review, maybe see what you could have done, a little differently to approach some of those situations. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do see these two teams go head-to-head again in the postseason at some point.
That is the positive way to look at it. I absolutely agree with you on that one, Hot Sauce. A 3-0 on the day that I feel like could have gone a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, watching these two teams again set up for a postseason rematch, because, 3-1 ain't that bad. 4-0, obvious, or 5-0. No, yeah, 4-0, excuse me, is obviously as good as you get. But with records like this is definitely setting the stage for a postseason rematch that I personally want to be 100% here for.
Yeah, Central Kitsap showing they could kind of fight through that adversity. They had a nice comeback in Game 3, but just not quite enough time to finalize it. But nonetheless, an amazing series here. And, we do want to, again, take a moment to shout out another one of our sponsors here with SEA, Seattle-built PCs and their continued support over here at WSSEA. Seattle-built PCs are the custom PC builders trusted by the pros. And, well, since 2020, they've been crafting incredible rigs for everyone across the world here. So Seattle Built PCs is ready to work with you to create that perfect PC for your needs when you're ready. If you're looking for a new custom built PC by people who actually care, then head on over to seattlebuiltpcs.com, or it's seattlebuilt.com, and check them out.
Yes, fantastic organization right there. Been in partnership with the WSSEA for quite a while. That's for a reason, folks. Fantastic folks over there at Seattle Build PCs. Believe that's going to be towards the end of it. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to our production staff, as well as LaneFest in general. Of course, that is Connie, that is Taylor, producing away and making our jobs as casters that much easier. We very, very much appreciate y'all for that and for producing away for a fantastic show. That's about it from me, Hot Sauce.
Yeah, it was a great day. Always a pleasure to be with you in the booth. Everybody behind the scenes, making our jobs look easy. You nailed it. So, again, a huge shout out to everybody behind the scenes and all of those of you in chat as well. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you hanging out with us here tonight. But we will be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific, for some Valorant as well. It'll be, I believe, me and another familiar face of D-Lo. But with that being said, guys, we hope that you have a wonderful evening. My name is Hot Sauce. That legend to my digital right there is Tugboat. You guys have been amazing. Take care and have a wonderful evening.